grow the farm up. Sometimes full tillage is necessary. This field hasn't been tilled for 6 seasons. We're smoothing her up this year and breaking the green bridge. We've got everything else in cover crops, but so we've got the old soil structure destroyer out today, otherwise known as a 33-foot John Deere Wheatland disc. They're kind of fun to watch run, you know. The closest thing you're going to get to seeing a plow on the farm these days. Is full tillage necessary? Yes. I'm in like a 4 to 6 year rotation. I try to be as much no-till as I possibly can, and then I will come in. It just seems like in farming, every 3 to 5 to 6 years, like I said, we got 6 years out of this one, you'll make enough ruts, you know, and actually sometimes soil tillage can be very beneficial. Whoops, bad cameraman. Soil tillage has its place. I mean, if you think about people that do their gardens, they rototill that stuff up into like a fine powder, which isn't quite what we're going for here. But you know what? Always disking behind corn, you know, never really, just mainly because, never really behind any other crop, but just mainly because corn is a good crop to disc with, because you get a lot of organic matter to turn into the soil. Line back up here. Get her rolling. Oh yeah. Now, here's cool, or not cool. Brand new 8345 RT motor. My old motor, 9-liter John Deere, blew up at 6,265 hours, and I had to have a long block put in, just basically a whole brand new freaking motor. I did, very expensive. Got a lot of other work done to the tractor, so this is its first work since it's got its brand new motor put in. And we can see, you know, here we got 129 degree oil temperature, 203 degree water temperature. We got about 32 psi oil temperature. We're looking at things down here too. We can come in here, and I mean, we've got all the different So, you know, I'm not a member of this no-till church that people talk about, where they think if you till the ground, you're completely destroying it. There's no question. I just called this the soil destroyer. I am completely destroying the structure of this soil in the top 4 or 5 inches. I'm set pretty deep, and it's a little too wet, but it's December 10th. And it's about 44 degrees out. We've had a very narrow window for the fall. You know, you really do not want to pull this thing across the soil in the spring if you can help it. You're going to want to field cultivate or do something else. Strip till, I mean, just about anything else. But this field's just due for its full tillage pass, basically. We'll handle that when we do. So this is a good old 33-foot Wheatland disc. It really is. I like to skip sections when I'm turning big equipment, just because Even though it's 33 feet, we're riding on tracks. And whenever you're riding on tracks, it's just a little bit handier to skip sections and make a little bit of a wider arc. You can see there's a little disc in the middle. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it there. And it lays some soil over and it leaves a little mark right there. It's not uneven. I've checked it. You can look across the field. It's not uneven. But what are you going to gain by disking this? Well, for one, you're going to really flatten out and fix all of the ruts and varmints that have dug holes over the years. And you're going to flatten out. You're going to create a much better seed bed for a drill to come into next spring and drill seed soybeans into this. You'll drill straight into this. You know, would you rather drill into this disc ground or straight into the corn stubble? Done both. You know, had I got closed out this fall and not had the ability to disc at all, I probably would have just planted directly into these corn stalks next spring. Would have turned the rate, would have turned the population on the drill up about 30,000 or more, just because it's really hard to drill right into. Now, we got a lot of hail this year, so this actually is not very, this is not a lot of corn residue to be dealing with. So you can see we're really doing a good job of turning it under. I mean, that old disc, for really hating discing, I do own a nice disc. I mean, sometimes, and you know, I think it's like a 2008, and I've had to, you know how discs are. It's been rebuilt, I don't know, 5 times. Disking is a very expensive operation. Anytime you've got anything touching the soil, it's an expensive operation, and that's where no-till wins, you know. And so I'm all about it, but it's kind of like everything in life, guys. It's not just black and white. There's room for all different farming practices. Farming, there is no right way to do it. There's just the decisions that you make and the consequences of those decisions that you have to deal with thereafter, be they good or bad. So, is conventional tillage bad for farming? Annually, yeah. I would say if I tilled this field every single year like this, yeah. Is strip tilling bad for farming? No. I think strip tilling is actually a pretty nice solution to how to deal with corn stubble and plant. If you're planting 30-inch rows of soybeans, see, that's my issue, is that I'm drilling my soybeans in 7.5-inch rows just because I like getting the canopy 3 weeks after they pop out of the ground. It's just necessary for weed control. I mean, otherwise you can just spray these 30-inch rows until August. Sun popping out, you can kind of get a good look. See, we did across the draw there, you can kind of get a good look. Nice and smooth, actually pretty good. It's hard to get a big, wide 3-section disc to run smooth and look good, look smooth. Like I said, it's got that one disc down the middle. As you can see, it's not tall, it's not cutting a rut or anything. It's just, it's the way this disc has always run. It's got that one disc down the middle, and it just throws all of the trash out of the way. And then those 2 back wheels right, or those 2 back disc gangs right there, right in the middle, they throw all of the dirt that basically does not have much residue with it into the middle to fill that hole back in cut by the front gang. And we'll go ahead and we'll skip a section here, and then you just click the old reset button, and then you set the disc down, and the disc goes down. And you can set her down a little bit sideways, but you don't want it too much, because, you know, I'm probably going a little too deep, and it's definitely probably a little bit too wet. But I'm calculating that we're going to get a good frost. We're going to get a good freeze thaw. There's decent moisture in the soil, so I'm not working too much of it out. I'm also calculating that we're going to maybe get some rains next spring that'll break down some of this disc clods. But you get out and look, there's really not too many big clods. I mean, this disc does a fine job, especially I like to run a disc a little bit too deep and then do a little more work with the back gang if you can. It seems to smooth things up a lot better. I mean, that's a pretty good looking pass right there. It's just kind of soothing. And this field has been in rye, clover, vetch, Austrian winter pea cover crops for 6 years now. So it's had soybeans and seed corn, cover crops broadcast into the seed corn, and rye, vetch, clover drilled behind soybeans. And then it had a year of corn 3 years ago. No, yeah, 2 years ago, excuse me, where we came out and did something different and drilled cover crop straight into it. I would do that again this year, but I planted so much cover crop because of so much hail that we have around here. I actually needed to save some cover crop seed for customers. We're doing quite a bit of custom drilling now, where we just come and custom drill the cover crops for you. You just call us, we show up 3 or 4 days later and drill cover crops for you, because farmers just don't have time to drill cover crops timely during harvest. They just don't. It's just hard. I mean, the hardest part of regenerative farming and cover cropping is just getting it planted. It really is. I mean, if you can get it drilled, get lucky and get a rain or two on it, boy, that cover crop will do you just immense good. It'll do you more good than this disc, but you know, it's not going to grow. Everything in cover crops that I planted within the last 15 days is probably not going to germinate this. I mean, it might germinate, but it's not going to have any massive growth this fall unless the weather pattern changes. I mean, it will grow a little, but I do have some cover crop that's almost 8-9 inches tall. They got drilled October 1st, 6th, 7th, you know. I think September 27th, I think I got a little bit of cover crop drilled. So, I mean, I do have some tall rye, clover, and vetch out there, but let's push those wings in just a little bit. That's the thing about running these big sectional discs. It's just such a, I don't know, almost like a lost art. You can't just put anybody on these tillage machines, man. They really are destructive to the soil. I mean, just look at what it's doing. But At the same time, it is doing it a lot of good because it has not been tilled, so you know your disc is just falling in. I mean, I can't hold the disc out of the ground. The soil's so mellow. Even though it's a little bit too wet, you're still getting away without clodding up so much. It's going to be a concern. And our brand new motor is getting broken in, pulling a 33-foot Wheatland disc as hard as it can for the first 40 hours of its life, which is what you want to do with a diesel motor. I'll skip a section again just because. And this goes down and gear goes up. Running 3D RTK. Good old John Deere unit. I think that's, what is that, a 4600 display or something? They changed the name of those so often. It's the one that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, the new one. You know, it's supposed to be set up more like a smartphone, like applications. It's got all these apps in here. It really is kind of a pain to navigate. I mean, I really wish John Deere would just turn it over to Android and not Apple, because we're not cult members out here, okay? All you Apple iPhone users, yeah, that's right. You know what iPhones are good for? They're good for children and chicks. You try to take a MacBook and do anything other than YouTube or blog with it and actually try to apply it to business, yeah, you'll find it's not really that valuable. That's just my humble opinion, man. So I'm asking, what do you guys think about conventional tillage and the way that we're doing it here? And what do you think about my iPhone thesis? Let's take one more look at that soothing disc, cutting that beautiful path through that regenerated soil. And this is the year that we're going to till it up and we're going to leave it lay bare, and it's going to kill all and any soil-borne insects, because that is an issue. After 7 years of after 6 years of having a continuous root growing in the soil 365 days a year, guess what that does also? That also creates a environment that is suitable to overwintering insects. Ergo, you got to spray more pesticides. So I mean, it's like I said, there's not a black and white way to farm. There's no right way. You know, every operation's a little different. Everybody's thinking's a little different. As I said, there's just the decisions you make and the consequences of those decisions that you have to deal with afterwards. That's really all there is in farming. Coming across the pivot slot driveway there. Push those wings down just a little bit. This thing is set up, it's got that wing pusher on it, you know. I think it works pretty decent, but you kind of gotta keep a manual eye on it. It's one thing, you know, you're here to till the field, not just to disc it. That's one thing my granddad always taught me. I remember one time I was sweeping the shop and I didn't do a very good job, and I said, "Well, Grandpa, but the bristles of the broom are..." And he looked at me and he said, Grandson, you're here to clean the floor, not sweep it. Don't blame the tool. You know, and that's always stuck with me. It's a good way of thinking, you know. You're here to till the field. Every pass is an opportunity to do it better and to set it up for next year. And this field actually does need a year of its green bridge broken. It's a very real part of regenerative agriculture. Let me know what you guys think. Enjoy the ride, grow the farm up.